how to make your solid fuel rocket. We have two types of rockets that we're going to be building as part of Rocket Mission UK. The first is the Firehawk, which you can see here, which has the silver body. See it there? The second one is called the Make It Take It, which has this white cardboard body. The Firehawk has 4 fins. The slightly larger Make It Take It has 3 fins. Now, the different elements that you're going to need to build for this rocket are the same in both. There's just some slight differences in construction, which I'm going to take you through. But they all have the same different pieces that make them up. They have an engine compartment, so somewhere for the engine to be held securely for launch. They have the fin section. They've got the main body of the rocket, and then they've got the nose cone and the recovery system, in this case a parachute, which are attached together, and a piece of elastic which attaches the main body of the rocket to the nose cone. So each of the rockets has those elements, and you can see those same elements here in the Firehawk. They're just constructed slightly differently. So what I'm going to do is take you through how to put together the Make It Take It rocket, and then I'll just talk about some of the differences that you'll find with the Firehawk. So the first thing that we're going to have a look at is the nose cone for the Make It Take It. So you'll see it comes in 2 pieces. I've already actually stuck these 2 together, but it does come in 2 pieces, and all you would do is, and you'll get some help from the adults in the room and the students supporting with this, is you would lose some glue, apply some glue to the outside of this white piece, and then slot the 2 together so that it's good and secure, and that gets you your nose cone. Now the nose cone needs to be attached to the parachute, which you can see here. Now the parachute has 3 suspension lines, or 6 suspension lines, but they're 3 lines looped, and they're attached around the parachute. So the best way to get those together is to lay the parachute flat and then pick up the 3 lines and just pull them so that they are taut and that the parachute can hang underneath them, because you want them all to be the same length. So it just enables you to make sure that the parachute will deploy properly. So I'm just going to rearrange the lines slightly to get the middle, the 2 outer ones. With one finger you just pull it up so that you know you've got it in the middle, and it's that bit that we're going to need here to thread through the nose cone. So this bit's a little bit fiddly. So you hold that, and you'll see that there's a little loop in the nose cone, and what we need to do is to thread those suspension lines through that. The trick is for them not to disappear into the rocket nose cone. There they go. So if I widen that out now, so that's the loop that I've just put through the nose cone. If I widen that out, I can take the parachute and pass it through that. And passing it through that means that it's then secured to the nose cone, and the parachute is ready to deploy. Now that gets you your recovery system. Of course, we need to attach the nose cone to the rocket, and that's where the elastic comes in. So if I just lay that there, and I get my piece of elastic that comes in the kit. Now we're going to use a double knot here just to secure it to the nose cone. So I've already got my parachute attached. I'm going to pass that through, make sure I've got maybe 1 inch of elastic the other side, because it just means that you can get a decent double knot. No harm in putting a 3rd one in there, and give it a bit of a stretch so that it's good and secure. And then you can go for a 2nd one, because we want, when the rocket comes down, we want it to come down all together under the parachute, which is what this elastic is going to do. I'm just putting a 3rd knot in there, pull it not so hard that you break the elastic, but so that it's good and secure. Once we've built the rest of the rocket, I'll show you how to attach this to the main body of the rocket. The next piece that we need is the body of the rocket, which is a cardboard tube in this case. In the case of the Firehawk, it's silver coated, but it's the same kind of thing. Now, you've also got a very small cardboard tube or plastic tube in your kit. Now that needs to be attached, glued, and you'll get some help with this, onto the side of the rocket, so it's going straight along the side of the rocket, and it's clear, it's not poking out, so it's going to get in the way of the engine, but it needs to be attached there. The launch pad has a rod which makes sure that the rocket launches straight up, and we need this tube here straight so that the metal rod on the launch pad can go through that. So it's very important to make sure that that's good and straight. So that's the main body of the rocket, and when you've attached that little tube to it, it looks like that. So you can see it's good and straight, and I'll show you how we attach it so that we avoid the fins. So that tube must point down in one of the gaps between the fins, otherwise you're not going to be able to get the metal rod into it. It's quite important that you get that in the right place when you've attached that. So the next part that we need to look at is the fins. In this case, for the Make It Take It, it's got 3 fins, and we've got the section that's actually going to hold the rocket motor, so it's got this little clip on it. This bit will already be built for you, so this metal clip that's going to hold the motor is already in, and the green ring is already attached, but there's another ring that we're going to use to secure it to the fins. So what you do is you place the white end of the tube into the rocket, taking care that this metal clip is in between the fins. So you're going to need this in between the fins, and you're also going to need to make sure that that white tube is in between the fins, but in between 2 different fins. So we're going to have to be careful about where we place those. Now when we're constructing this, you'll get some help with this. So one of the adults helping you, or the students, will apply some glue around the top of this white tube, and then slide that green ring onto the top. And what that does is it secures the motor compartment into the rocket. It doesn't matter if it sticks out a little bit at the top, but it does need to be flush at the bottom, so that's ready. So when that's glued in place, then it's ready to attach to the main body of the rocket. Now you'll already have your white tube, your smaller tube attached, and you'll just need to make sure that you spin this around so that that is in one of the gaps between the fins, but not the gap that's already got the motor hook. And so again, we're getting some help from the adults. You'll apply some glue around the red section of the fin and the green ring, and then you'll slide that into there, and then you can place that ready just to dry, ready to start attaching the nose cone. So we'll place that over here. Now the attachment of the nose cone is a little bit more complicated. On the instruction sheet for these rockets, you will find that there's a little cutout section with the numbers 1, 2 and 3 on it. And the instructions in here do show you how to make this, but it is quite complicated, so I'm going to take you through it, but you can see it in the instructions as well. So you cut that out of the instruction sheet and it looks like that. Now when we're folding that, you need the 3 facing you, and you need the elastic from the recovery system that we were just building earlier. So we've got the nose cone, and we've got the parachute, and we've got the elastic attached to the nose cone. It's the other end of the elastic that we need this time. And what we're going to do is you place it on top of where it says number 2 and number 3, and we will glue it to the 2 and then fold the 1 over the top and secure it. So we'll fold that down. Then we will glue where it says number 3 and we will fold it again over the top. And what you end up with is a little packet that's all glued together. So I'm just going to get a piece of paper and the glue. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on where it says number 2, just there. And then, just as I was describing, so the elastic is coming in from number 3 and sitting on top of where it says number 2. Place that carefully there, avoiding getting any glue on my fingers and washing my hands if I do. So we stick that on top. So now number 1 is glued on top of number 2, and you can still see number 3 down there. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of the glue and place it on top of the number 3. Put it back on. And then I'm going to place the number 3 on top of the glue and fold that little packet that was number 1 and number 2 on top and push it down, so that we've now got a glued together packet that contains the end of the elastic. Okay, so leave that for a few minutes to dry, and then what we'll be doing is we'll be attaching it into the inside of the body of the rocket. Now what you must make sure of is that it's pushed far enough down into there and glued into the side so that it's not interfering with this section, because that section will slot in on top of there. So it needs to be pushed down. It's around about an inch, 2 or 3 centimeters down, just so that it's clear of that section. So, given a little bit of time for that to dry, what I'm now going to do is get my piece of paper back. I'm going to put some glue on top of this little packet. Spread some glue around on there. Put it back on. It's come apart a little bit. I'm going to stick some glue underneath there because we do need to make sure that the whole thing is stuck together. Do use a piece of scrap paper to do this on, so that you're not getting stuff stuck to the desk. There we go. And then what I need to do is take that and put it inside the rocket tube. So I'm aiming for it to go into the tube about 2 or 3 centimeters, and I'm just pushing against the paper packet so that it's now stuck. Difficult to see with the camera there, but I hope you can see that it's far enough down now that the nose cone won't interfere with that piece of paper when we stick that on top. Now do leave that to dry. Don't stick your nose cone on yet until that's completely dry, otherwise you won't be able to take the nose cone off and we won't be able to put the parachute, because when we're getting this thing ready to launch, the parachute and the elastic have to be folded up and placed inside that tube ready for launch. Now the rocket motors actually have 2 sides to them. So the first side of the rocket motor will push hot gases out the back of the rocket, launching the rocket into the air. The second part has a slight delay, and then it will push hot gases this way to push the parachute out the top of the rocket. And we have a little bit of fireproof wadding that goes in between the two just to protect the parachute, but you'll get help with that, getting that set up when it's ready for launch. So there you have it, that's the make it, take it. Now the Firehawk is only slightly different. So it has a slightly smaller parachute. The nose cone is very similar, except it's just this small white piece that you need to glue in. The parachute and elastic attachments are identical. The only difference with the Firehawk is here at this end. So instead of having that metal hook, what it has is a little twist off cap. that enables you to secure the rocket motor. So that just twists on and off. So it's a slightly simpler arrangement than the more complicated make it, take it. The other thing you need to note here is that this fin assembly comes in two parts. So you just glue those two together first, and then instead of a white tube, what you've got is this piece with two holes in it, and you can see very clearly there are little lumps on the fin section for you to stick that to it. So you'll see, and then the rod will go through that, so it makes it really easy to get that nice and straight. Other than that, the two rockets are very similar to build, and there is a complete set of instructions with each one. Helps if it's the right way up, just to show you exactly how to go about making your rocket. So having completed that, what you should have is a glued together rocket motor section and fins that are glued to the rocket tube. You've got the elastic attached to the rocket and your parachute attached to your nose cone, and the nose cone is separate, so it can be taken on and off the rocket. That's what we would need to be able to get ready to launch and see your rocket reach up to about 100 meters into the air. So now over to you to make your solid fuel rocket.
4, 3, 2, 1.